guys, if you're new to Deception Bites, hit the like and subscribe button and be sure to hit the bell to be notified of future videos. If you wish to support the channel, the links are in the description below. Now, fasten your seatbelt. Here we go. Okay guys, I'm back for video number 2. It is still Friday, October 4th, and it is now 10:58 p.m. Eastern Time. All right, well, let's get into it because we've got a lot to cover tonight, and we covered a little bit of it, but not nearly as much as I hoped we would cover. So let's go back, and I did want to say that I missed 2 people that sent me some mail within the last couple days. Sharon R. in Kentucky, thank you very much. She sent a lovely card and donation. I appreciate that. And Sarah N. from Abilene, Texas, and she sent a wonderful card. Thank you so much. Guys, I didn't mean to leave you out. I had a pile of mail to bring over, and they were on the bottom of the pile, and I guess I missed them. So I wanted to be sure that I included them. All right. So we're going to leave these few things here until possibly tomorrow, and we're going to go on with more in line with what we have been covering. Now, let's take a look at this. All right, this is from the DC Patriot, and report, Hillary nervous as Bill Barr turns up heat in reopened email investigation. Now, this should make us all very happy. Now, this is from a couple days ago. I apologize. I should have been getting this to you earlier, but, well, extenuating circumstances, as I'm sure you understand. Now, Attorney General William Barr is on the heels of the crooked Democrats, and they know it. There's a reason they're pushing for impeachment and trying to silence our Seth Rich investigations. It's not because they're honest and good-hearted people either. They realize if they don't push now, they are going down like a sweet muffin. Going down like a sweet muffin. All right. From Breitbart, it's a witch hunt. It's a real one, unlike the kind of things Trump talks about. Clinton told now this news of the probe. It is meant to raise the specter about my emails, which were investigated endlessly, she said, bashing the inquiry as crazy like a fox. It's meant to raise, if the Republicans and Trump and his supporters in the media can muddy the waters and raise all kinds of crazy conspiracy theories, then maybe people won't pay attention to the danger he poses to our country, she added. Yeah, it's him that poses the danger. Right, Hillary. Right. Says one of the most prolific killers and criminals, well, she probably didn't do murders herself. She had them done, of course. She wouldn't want to get her hands dirty. But, yeah, right, Hillary. It's Trump we have to worry about. So, the Washington Post reported on Saturday that State Department officials have informed up to 130 Clinton aides that they were found to be culpable of handling information that was classified lower than they should have been when transmitted through the private server. Several former Obama administration officials have tried to discredit the probe by accusing the Trump administration of political retribution, but one official retorted that the process is set up in a manner to completely avoid any appearance of political bias. This has nothing to do with who is in the White House, affirmed another official. This is about the time it took to go through millions of emails, which is about 3.5 years. As Breitbart News extensively reported, a Federal Bureau of Investigation examination of Clinton's server discovered at least 100 emails containing classified information, including 65 emails labeled secret and 22 deemed top secret. She doesn't care. Yeah, I'm just going to keep them on a server in my basement, she says. Several experts say the former Secretary of State broke multiple laws, including 18 U.S. Code 1924, which prohibits unauthorized removal and retention of classified documents or materials. Justice is coming, and the left is in full panic mode. Yes, they are, and it's nice to see. All right, and let's go back now and take a look at what else we have here. This is really, it's one of those things that I thought, I don't think I would have believed it unless I saw it with my own eyes and heard it with my own ears. Don't think I would have believed it. But then nothing should surprise us with these Democrats, especially the new ones. Video captures Rashida Tlaib asking police chief to only hire African Americans for a particular job. Yeah, I think that's called racist. That's right, racist. Unbelievable. Well, let's listen, shall we? Well, I thought it was going to actually show the thing, and it's not, so we can just read this. Rashida Tlaib clearly can't help herself. The Detroit area congresswoman has been drawing heated attention for anti-Semitic statements, is under investigation by the House Ethics Committee, and has been proven time and again to be blinded by her own prejudices when it comes to current events. So what did she do on a recent PR tour of the Detroit Police Department section on using facial recognition software to identify criminal suspects? Yeah. According to the Detroit Daily News, she told the police chief that he should only hire African Americans to use the technology to analyze faces of suspects and potential suspects. Analysts need to be African Americans, not people that are not, Tlaib said. I think non-African Americans think African Americans all look the same. Really? I don't think that all African Americans look the same. Do you? Unbelievable. Could you imagine if that was Trump? That would end his career right there. That would be it. There would be no forgiveness of that whatsoever. Police Chief James Craig, who is black, disagreed and offered the perfect response. I trust people who are trained regardless of race, regardless of gender, he told Tlaib. It's about the training. Good for him. He rose above that. Good for him. I would have found it hard not to, punched her. I'm just saying. I know that's not very Christian, and I would have to, punch her in the love of the Lord. Yeah, that's it. Check out the video below. Tlaib's remarks about the analysts and Craig's response comes at about the 3:50 mark. Now, we don't want to listen to all of this, or we won't get to everything that we need to get to, but let's go into about, see here. You see?
Going to FBI school.
I'm going to get it closer to
we
these.
don't disagree with the concerns.
I know.
If you just be patient with me and let me work through this. So Andrew goes through the training as all of the analysts. 24 hours of FBI biometric training. See this right here?
Mm-hmm.
That's a female.
Yeah.
The computer, not
Well, we know
Andrew.
there's it's almost close to some 60% error rates because it doesn't identify black people. You know that, Chief.
I know that. I give you. I
Chief,
take you. I take
the
you.
error rate among African Americans, especially women, is
I understand the technology real well.
60%.
I understand. That's why I'm taking you through it personally.
I know.
Okay, so
Just see if you can get some of our money back until they fix it.
no.
Okay? I'm just saying, you might have an opportunity.
So you see this female.
Yeah.
The computer is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew knew right away as he's going through it. Okay, that's not a match. We know that going into this that the computer is not at 100%. We know that.
So that's always just one, not
It's
the
a
main
tool.
element.
A match is a tool only.
No, my question is this solely what's used to prosecute
No,
somebody in cases?
absolutely not. Never. So that's one thing. I'm glad you asked that question. It's a great question. So here we're on page 3. Anybody look like? You say yes, no?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not. You know what? And also, analysts need to be African Americans, not people that are not. Because let me tell you, no, it happens all the time.
Okay.
It's true.
Okay.
I mean, I think non-African Americans think African Americans all look the same. I've seen it even on the House floor. People, calling Elijah Cummings John Lewis and John Lewis Elijah Cummings, and they're totally different people. I'm just saying.
Well,
I see it all the time, and I love them because they like go along with it.
well, I trust people who are trained.
I know.
Regardless of race, regardless of gender.
Yeah.
It's about the training.
But it does make a huge difference.
So,
It does. The end.
You know, I'm telling you right now, okay, I've worked for the police, and if a woman came in there like that with a know-it-all attitude, well, yeah, but it has a 60% error rate. And I mean, this man is the police chief. He knows a little bit more about policing and about the software than she does. What has she ever done aside from run for Congress? I don't know. I don't know what she did before. But I know she's got a very big mouth and thinks she knows everything about everything. And that was extremely racist. And I am not one of those people that, cry racist at I'm not at all. But that was racist. And if I was an African American standing there listening to that, I would have been most upset. Now, the police chief handled it very well. He said, no, it's about the training. It's about the training. I believe that if someone is trained, it doesn't matter what their nationality is, what their race, what their gender is. But this woman is absolutely annoying. And her campaign slogan is, impeach the MFer. Are you kidding me? I would have been, okay, well, your visit's over. Goodbye. I'm going to escort you out. Don't let the door hit you on the behind. Just saying, I just want to listen to a few more minutes of her. Not minutes.
Okay.
Just anybody on this page that. Take a close look.
I don't know. I mean, there could be this one right here.
Oh.
Just like because the bottom lip.
Oh, my goodness, you're good. Wow.
So that's him.
How do you know?
So.
Go do the other. How do you know? So you can't say it's him. It's allegedly him. The lawyer talking me. I'm just telling you, it's allegedly.
She's saying the lawyer talking me, so maybe she was a lawyer. I don't know, but I don't like her attitude, and I never have. She came into Congress with that attitude, and it's never left her. So anyway, yeah, very, very racist. And if that was Donald Trump sitting in her shoes, which he wouldn't be in her shoes because they probably wouldn't fit, but and he just doesn't look like the kind of man to wear women's shoes. But anyway, if he was standing in her place there and he said those words, you can imagine it would be splashed on every newspaper in the world, and you know it. But nobody bothers with her because she's a Democrat. So the press all gives her a free pass, except for apparently, what is this news? This is the Western Journal. So there you go. Unbelievable, but unbelievably true. All right. Now, this is from Canada, but I wanted to be sure that you guys saw this because it has to do with the United States, and this enraged me. Really, it did. We're living in a communist country here. Well, socialist country anyway. It's pretty darn close. Regina man ordered by SGI to turn in MAGA USA license plate. Now, this was yesterday's news. So he's in Saskatchewan, Regina, Saskatchewan, and he's got a MAGA USA license plate. And Saskatchewan, land of living skies, and it looks like he may even have an American scarf on. There are a lot of Americans that work in Canada and live in Canada, so it's not unreasonable to think that he perhaps is either a big fan of the States or is supportive of the States or is an American. So anyway, Rod Kletchko stands near the Saskatchewan Legislative Building next to his Mercedes-Benz, which wears a Saskatchewan license plate bearing the letters MAGA USA. Rod Klitschko believes surrendering his Mega USA vanity plate to SGI would be the equivalent of selling his soul for 30 pieces of silver. The plate, which is a reference to President Donald Trump's Make America Great Again campaign slogan, was approved by SGI that the plate was The plate, which is a reference to President Donald Trump's Make America Great Again campaign slogan, was approved by SGI and put on Klitschko's Mercedes SL 550 in May. Last Thursday, Klitschko said he was told by SGI that the plate was no longer approved. He has 30 days to turn the plate in or it will be canceled. According to the Crown, plates, and that is our, like they call it the Crown here. We have a Crown attorney. It's not like a DA. You guys have a DA. We have a Crown attorney. So according to the Crown, plates with political slogans are off limits. SGI has offered to refund the cost of the plate and cover the price of a new one. Klitschko is conflicted. As a supporter of Trump and as a proponent of freedom of self-expression, the thought of giving the plate up doesn't sit well. Doesn't sit well with me either. I feel that my integrity is at stake here. So if I capitulate, how good it is for me when I tell everybody to fight for the right of free speech, said Klitschko, who operates a point-of-sale equipment and supply business. So he's saying, so if I capitulate and, give up the plate, how can he tell everybody else to fight for the right to free speech if he just capitulates and gives in to them? Right. He's right. But you don't win in Canada. You just don't. You can fight and fight and fight, but you'll never win. You'll never win. It's just the way things are here and have been ever since I grew up here. I spent most of my adult life in the States, but I grew up here and now I'm back, at least until anything happens to my mother, which I hope is, I want to come back to the States, but I don't want anything to happen to my mother. So he said although he isn't an American, Klitschko has an affinity for American values and the concept of freedom of speech. He said he's never been confronted or experienced any hostility over the plate. He's baffled by someone would be so offended that they would contact SGI. Are we not supposed to be an open society with freedom of expression and free speech? Not anymore. No, we're not. Not anymore. And now I have to sell my soul, my integrity for 30 pieces of silver. Klitschko understands the plate is the property of the government. However, he doesn't agree with the policy of not permitting political slogans. Anything could be a political slogan. I mean, if you assume that a license plate means something because you choose to assume that, that's up to you. I mean, if you choose to be offended, I'm offended that you're choosing to be offended, he said. Cullen said Klitschko has the right to express himself. He just can't do it through a government-issued license plate. He can use a bumper sticker. He can shrink wrap his car. He can do all sorts of things. But the fact remains that the license plate is Crown property, and we don't allow political slogans on that property, said Cullen. Klitschko, who has yet to decide if he'll turn the plate in. I'm going to think about it. I'm going to see what I should do and what I shouldn't do. But in giving the plate back for 30 pieces of silver, that goes against every bit of freedom of choice and freedom of speech that I hold dear. Well, why did they approve it then? If it's so wrong, that should be on the employee, right? Shouldn't be on him. Why should he have to bear the brunt of it? They made the error. He wouldn't have known. I never knew that it was against whatever policy or whatever to have a slogan on your license plate, a political slogan. I didn't know that. And I assume he didn't either. So he went in, he put this on. They told him, okay, it was approved. End of story. Whoever the employee was that approved it, they should be held accountable, not him. But this is Canada. All right. So I just thought that you guys might find that interesting. Yeah, we are further along towards the road to the New World Order than is America. I can tell you that much for sure. Anyway, all right, and I can hear somebody ruining my curtains. All right, let's go back now because we can. And let's look at this. Xander, you're irritating me. And it doesn't take much because I'm very tired. Okay. It says, this is Tucker Carlson. And of course I can't play all of this for you because it's 7 minutes, almost 8 minutes. Trump refuses to bow to intelligence agencies. Intelligence agencies didn't like President Trump challenging them. So I want to play a little bit of this.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. Looking back, January of 2017 seems like another age. So much has happened in the years since then, but in other ways, not that much has changed at all. Donald Trump had not even taken the oath of office yet, but by the first week of the new year of 2017, in case you don't remember, permanent Washington had already committed to destroying his presidency, and Trump seemed to know it. A little after 8 p.m. on the night of January 3rd, 2017, the president-elect wrote a tweet. He took a veiled dig at U.S. intelligence agencies for their handling of the then newly initiated Russia investigation. At pretty much the same moment, Senator Chuck Schumer of New York was arriving at MSNBC's Midtown Manhattan studios. He went to the set, and the anchor of the show he was on that night, Rachel Maddow, pulled up Trump's tweet on a screen, live on TV, and asked Chuck Schumer to comment on that tweet. Now, Schumer hadn't seen the tweet before, of course. He couldn't have known it was coming. For one of the most calculating politicians in Washington, it was a rare, unscripted moment. And so for the first time in a long time, Chuck Schumer just went with the unvarnished truth. Watch what he said.
Let me tell you, you take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you. So even for a practical, supposedly hard-nosed businessman, he's being really dumb to do this.
So Schumer went on to say he didn't know exactly what the spy agencies would do to Donald Trump as punishment for being dumb enough to criticize them in public. But he warned, and this is a verbatim quote, "From what I am told, they are very upset about how he has treated them and talked about them," end quote. Very upset. Got it? There's no mistaking what that was. That's a threat issued on live television with grave seriousness by a politician who's been in Washington long enough to know that it's absolutely real. In the end, Donald Trump ignored it, or more likely he decided to defy it. Day after day, he gave the finger to the permanent Washington establishment, often on Twitter, sometimes at press conferences, but always with unmistakable relish. Trump acted like a man who'd won an election in a democratic country. He seemed to feel free to say exactly what he really thought. He didn't appear to believe that the intelligence agencies had veto power over his agenda. In 1,000 different ways, the new president refused to bow. And for that crime, more than any other crime, he was punished, most recently by the manufactured Ukraine scandal. The intel world, meanwhile, has become increasingly defiant. Just yesterday, former CIA Director John Brennan expressed outrage that anyone would dare impose oversight on the intelligence agencies that secretly oversee our lives.
I'm supposedly going to be interviewed by Mr. Durham as part of this non-investigation. I remember William Barr, when he was testifying in front of Congress, he said he didn't understand the predication of the counterintelligence investigation that was launched into Russia's interference in 2016 election. I don't understand the predication of this worldwide effort to try to uncover dirt, either real or imagined, that would discredit that investigation in 2016 into Russian interference.
John Brennan is a naked partisan, and he's a liar. He's acted in ways that would have shocked and horrified previous CI directors, and that's saying a lot. But John Brennan is not ashamed. Far from it, he's proud. And so are his many acolytes in Washington. Phil Mudd is a former CIA employee. Like so many partisans from intelligence world, he's now a contributor at CNN. Last night, Mudd sent an on-air warning to the president and his lawyer. Back off or prepare to get hurt.
Wow.
I spent a lot of time in government. There are State Department officials who will testify, intel guys, DOD, Department of Defense people. All of us are sort of a brotherhood and sisterhood. Rudy Giuliani parachutes in from Mars. The people who will testify are going to look at him, including State Department officials, and say, I don't have to protect that guy. He didn't operate by the rules. He didn't do what you're supposed to do in government. I suspect he's worried about what the Congress will do. If I were him, I'd be worried about whether people in government stick a shiv in his back. He's in trouble.
So it's a brotherhood, says Phil Mudd, the CIA, a brotherhood that will stab you to death if you disobey. What Phil Mudd is describing is not a conventional government agency. It's nothing like what most of us imagine when we think of what Washington is doing on our behalf. The CIA of John Brennan and Phil Mudd does not exist for our benefit. It exists solely for the benefit of the people who work there. We pay for the whole thing, but they do what they want, and they punish anyone who criticizes them. They brag about that. Now, that's scary, of course. It's a perversion of democracy. It's exactly what the people who created the CIA feared most. But it's also, if we're going to be honest, it's annoying. Because for all of the hype, the CIA, in the end, isn't even very good at its job.
That's true.
Now, remember, this is an intelligence agency. So it's fair to
run by the
judge
unintelligent.
their performance against whether or not they predicted crucial events over the past 70 years. And again, they didn't. The CIA, for example, was shocked by the Korean War. It didn't predict the Soviet atomic bomb, not a small thing. It missed the Cuban Missile Crisis and the 1973 Arab-Israeli War. It spent decades trying to bring down Fidel Castro, to kill Fidel Castro. So naturally, his regime never fell. Castro lived into his 90s. Meanwhile, the CIA spent decades propping up the Shah of Iran, so naturally he tumbled from power. They didn't even provide a warning before that happened because they had no idea it was going to happen. When the Iron Curtain finally fell in 1989, the CIA was completely blindsided by it. They thought they had just predicted, in fact, the Soviet Union was as strong as ever. And things didn't get better after that. The CIA had no idea that Saddam Hussein planned to invade Kuwait the next year in 1990. They were totally surprised by India's atomic bomb test 8 years later. By 2003, they were totally confident that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. In fact, their biggest success in the past 50 years may have been creating the Taliban. If John Brennan had been working for a nonprofit business, there would have been a shareholder revolt a long time ago and probably criminal charges. He would have been John DeLorean. But because it's a secretive government agency, the CIA has not been restrained. In fact, it's only become more powerful and more autonomous. Powerful enough to take down a president? We'll see. One reason that permanent Washington is so powerful, of course, so resistant to change or oversight, is that it makes alliances with some of the least impressive but most ambitious members of Congress. Just days ago, for example, House Intelligence Chairman Adam Schiff claimed his office had no contact whatsoever with the CIA whistleblower.
First off, have you heard from the whistleblower? Do you want to hear from the whistleblower?
We have not spoken directly with the whistleblower. We would like to.
Schiff also claimed to know nothing about what was in the whistleblower's complaint before it came out. But yesterday, the New York Times revealed that both those claims were lies. Schiff apologized in a way, saying that he, quote, should have been much more clear. Right. Schiff now admits his office spoke to the whistleblower, who, by the way, we learned tonight is a registered Democrat, but insists his office did nothing to shape the complaint itself. But why do we believe that at this stage?
Sorry, I didn't mean to play all that, and yet it was so good and it encapsulates so much that I just felt it was important to just let it run through because it's very good and his commentary was very good. And actually, I have grown to really respect Tucker Carlson, to tell you the truth. He seems to be taking the high road in all of this. We'll see if that continues, hopefully. All right, now, this is very interesting. It's a little bit off topic, but still very, very important. And it says, migrants laugh at France and taunt Marine Le Pen. We have managed to take over Paris even faster than the German army in 1940. It took us just 3 hours. Meanwhile, Macron hunts Le Pen and has ordered her to stand trial for posting photos critical of ISIS and detailing their victims. Yeah, this is what's happening in France, and this should be a warning to us. Really, it should. This is just 13 seconds long, but let's watch this.
Regarde, filme tout autour de toi. Il y a des Algériens, il y a des Tunisiens, il y a des Marocains, il y a des Sénégalais, il y a ce que tu veux. Marine, on est là, ma gueule. On a fait plus vite que les Allemands, on a pris Paris en 3 heures. Les Allemands, ils l'ont pris en 24 heures en 1940. Regarde, filme tout autour de toi. Il y a des Algériens, il y a des Tunisiens.
Yeah, like they're bragging that they've been able to take over Paris faster than the Germans in 1940. And, they're pointing out, here we have Algerians, Tunisians, Moroccans, and Senegalese. And these are all migrants. But this is happening in Britain as well. The numbers are so great that they now have the ability to take over these places. And that was their plan all along. They don't integrate anywhere. They will never integrate. They will never, fit in and, become part of the cultures that they're going into, ever. They have no plan to. Their only goal is to take over. Should be a lesson. I mean, I know that this was all a plan, certainly by the George Soros of the world, and it would be their plan for America as well, and it is happening. It's most certainly happening in Canada here. Unbelievable. The amount, all around and this used to be just farmland, and all around the new housing developments to accommodate the new arrivals. Not that I am against immigration at all, is if they are properly vetted, but I have a problem with allowing people into the country that, want to cut my head off because I'm a so-called infidel. Anyway, let's go on and see what else we can get to. Let's look at this. Now, I'm telling you right now, I have never, first of all, Maxine Waters has had extensive work done on her face. Now, that's okay if she's spending her own money, which of course she has gotten rich on the backs of the American taxpayers. We know that. She has been voted the most corrupt member of Congress. And let's just take a look at this because she's looking a little odd to me and just not all there. Not all there at all. Let's take a look at this.
States of America.
Now, I'm sorry because I don't want to insult the drag queens, but not that I approve of that. But hey, I don't want to insult them. But Maxine Waters, she's looking just like one. I'm telling you. What is it with this woman? But let's just give a listen to her. It's just over a minute, so you won't have to endure too long.
Setting some of us up to be killed. I have death threats constantly. There are a number of people who have been convicted for threatening to kill me. I can't go to the grocery store anymore by myself. I have to pay for security.
Do you think she ever went to the grocery store by herself? I'm not buying that. No way. But look, she doesn't even look the same because it used to be like she had this permanent frown and deep, deep furrows in her face. So she's had extensive work done, and she's got those really high eyebrows again, like we saw with Nancy Pelosi. So maybe they see the same plastic surgeon. I don't know, but she's looking a little, with the fake eyelashes and everything, she's just looking a little bit drag queenish to me. And I don't believe for a moment that she's had she may have had death threats, but she said that Trump is setting her up to be killed. This is the woman that told people to hunt down the Republicans and not give them any peace, and to, confront them in the restaurants and on the street and whatever. This is the same woman, but now it's like, Trump's setting me up to be killed. Oh, the bad orange man. Let's listen to her flap her gums for a couple more seconds.
All the time. I can't move around the country without security.
So, Jesse, this is...
Yeah.
Stop with Sanders.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
The Congresswoman pushing more division.
What's good for the goose is good for the gander. Uh-huh. Well, that's what you did. You rolled a stone and it's rolled back on you. You dug a pit and now you fell into it. You don't harass people and don't expect that you're not going to be harassed. Maxine Waters, mad Maxine Waters.
Oh, and she is mad, like mentally. Okay, all right. Let's go back and see what other trouble we can get into. I'm going to leave some of this stuff because I'm just wanting to cover the most pertinent stuff. Now, what is this? Oh, yes. This is important. Sure it is. Very important. Russia's Novaya Gazeta drops documents that show Ukrainians transferred $3.4 million in criminally obtained money to Hunter Biden's business accounts. Yeah. So, Joe can act all, hurt, like, don't ask me that. You should be looking at him, the bad orange man. Look at him. Don't look at me. I've done nothing wrong. Right. What he should be saying is, I've done nothing wrong in the last 15 minutes. I've done nothing wrong in the last half hour. But he's done plenty wrong overall. So yeah, $3.4 million in criminally obtained money, and they just dropped that right into Hunter Biden's business accounts. I wonder why. Can't imagine. Let's go with a wicked hat. We published the materials of the criminal case of the fugitive oligarch Kurchenko, which will affect the results of elections in the United States. Russia's independent Novaya Gazeta published a devastating piece Tuesday on corrupt Ukrainian oligarchs who are involved with the Burisma holding company in Ukraine. According to Novaya Gazeta, corrupt Ukrainians transferred criminally obtained money to Hunter Biden's Rosemont Seneca accounts. Novaya Gazeta even produced a document that shows $3.4 million was paid out to Hunter Biden. Yeah, 3.4 million. Well, 3.4 million is bad enough. I'm sure he didn't do anything to earn that. Really. Not anything, above board anyway. 2 months after he was fired from the U.S. Navy for drug use, Hunter Biden was placed on the Burisma board and soon was making $50,000 per month. Here is the document of payment published by Novaya Gazeta. And it's in Ukrainian, so we can't read it, but there it is for any of you that might be able to read Ukrainian. Document with translation into Russian between 11/18/2014 and 10/16/2015 with the market number 265001837320001 US dollars currency of the company Burisma Holdings Limited as Privet Bank for the company number 406111172 of the company Rosemont Seneca Bohai LLC 40 pence worth 7 worth 382 US dollar. Okay, this is in Russian, so obviously I can't read Russian. According to Gazeta, the Ukrainians not only paid Hunter Biden millions of dollars, but the money was laundered funds of a criminal organization in the amount of $3.9 million. Novaya Gazeta reported the Ukrainian company Burisma, owned by a colleague of Yanukovych, invited Biden's son to the board of directors immediately after the fall of Yanukovych. Hunter Biden received $50,000 a month after the Ukrainian prosecutor general Shokin opened a criminal case against Burisma. Biden Sr. insisted on dismissing Shokin, threatening to stop a $1 billion loan to Ukraine. Voluntarily or involuntarily, the U.S. vice president acted as the roof of Burisma. The position of the investigation is that this purchase was paid with money obtained by criminal means, and it was precisely this money acquired by a malicious hat in especially large proportions that Nikolai these names are really hard. Zlochevsky was allowed to pay to the members of the board of directors of Burisma. In particular, 1 million euros was transferred to the account of the ex-president of Poland, Alexander Kwasniewski. I can't pronounce his name, so I'm just going to say Alexander K. And $3,404,712.82 was transferred to the account of Rosemont Seneca, which represented Hunter Biden. Will the DOJ or Congress investigate this? Well, we certainly hope so. They need to. This is unforgivable. These people, the Obama administration and the people in his administration, you look at Hillary, and you look at this, you look at the Fast and Furious scandal, all of this, Hunter Biden, Joe Biden running interference for his son, getting rich off the back of who knows who, and it needs to be looked into. They were like a rogue gang of wolves running amok in the world, and still are. So let's go on and see what else we can get to. I don't want to be too much longer because I am still quite fatigued, but let's look at this. This is Donald Trump Jr. And for those who don't know who Adam Schiff is, he is not just a radical liberal. He is someone who has been handpicked and supported by George Soros. Oh, I'm shocked. No, I'm not. All right, and going on, he says, an intelligence community whistleblower is required to go directly to the Inspector General before going to Congress. The fact that this anonymous whistleblower went first to seek partisan advice from a George Soros puppet tells you everything you need to know. Indeed, it does. It's just more of the same from the deep state. I'll bet good money that the whistleblower turns up to be another partisan hack with deep ties to the Brennan-McCabe cabal. Anyone who doesn't see this yet is a fool or hasn't been watching the last 3 years play out. The president is right. It's time for the do-nothing Democrats to go back to work and start serving the constituents instead of themselves. And of course, that's what they've been doing. They just serve themselves. They just, the world is their oyster. They don't care that they were elected to do a job. They have no intention of doing that job. They don't care about the taxpayers. They don't care about the members of their constituents. They don't care. Period. So, and this by Nell Minow. Actually, he was handpicked by California voters 9 times with a majority of the vote every time with no help from Russia. More than you or your father can say. Oh my God. See the abuse they put up with every freaking day. And it says, Adam Schiff knocked on my door more than once. He met my kids and asked for my support. He answered a question or two. There was no one with him. He was just walking his district, a real public servant. See how blind these people are? They think because that George Soros wasn't right beside him while he was knocking on doors that, oh, well, that's not true. These people they're brain dead. They really are brain dead. And you know what? These people, they won't check this out for themselves. No, they won't. They'll just say, nah. He's a great guy. I'd vote for him again. So let's go back to see what else we can get into here in the time we have left. Now, okay. This is unbelievable. Let's look at this. You're going to roll your eyes, and you're going to need to roll your eyes. Excuse me. Hillary Clinton questioning my mishandling of classified info is the real witch hunt. Can you imagine She is the most delusional, wicked woman, I think, in the world. One of the most delusional, wicked women in the world. In fact, I think she's just one of the most delusional and wicked people in the world. I think she's right up there with some of the most notorious. I think if it ever comes out, and what is this? That doesn't even look like her. I'm telling you, there's like more chins there than a Chinese phone book. I don't know. That does not look like her to me at all. Well, maybe a little, but not much. All right. Yeah. So, failed presidential candidate Hillary Clinton. I love that. Failed presidential candidate. That's right. Failed. Hillary Clinton, you failed. You failed. And you know what? When I woke up this morning, I went, oh, look, it's a brand new day and Hillary Clinton isn't president. Yeah, that's what I thought. Failed presidential candidate. Hillary Clinton says the State Department's investigation into her private email server usage is a real witch hunt. Well, yeah, they're hunting a witch, all right. Absolutely. Yeah, like for real. Borrowing terminology President Donald Trump has used to describe the special counsel and impeachment probes against him. She's something else. I just have to laugh at her because she's so deluded. She's still making excuses why she didn't win a rigged election. I mean, you've got to be really bad not to win a rigged election. Like, I'm just saying. Like, even with all the cheating and everything, she didn't win. I mean, come on. You got to see the humor in that, don't you? Alrighty. It's a witch hunt, and it's a real one. Hillary Clinton explained how Trump's new probe into her emails is a diversion tactic in this exclusive interview with Now This. I don't want to hear her speak, guys, so I'm not going to play it because she irritates me. I hear her voice, and it's like nails on a chalkboard, honestly. But yeah, she thinks that he's just trying to, divert attention away from all of his crimes. Yeah, all of his crimes that they've been investigating for how long now and can't find anything to stick? Not even one little teeny thing? Yeah, it's a diversion, Hillary. That's what it is, right? It's a witch hunt. It's a real one. Unlike the kind of things Trump talks about, Clinton told Now This News of the probe. It's meant to raise a specter about my emails, which were investigated endlessly, she said, bashing the inquiry as crazy like a fox. Yeah, right, Hillary. Hang on here. I'm not going to read all this because she wearies me. And, I'm wearied enough already. So it's meant to raise the specter about my emails, which were investigated endlessly, she said. No, it's taken this long to investigate them because there were so darn many of them. If the Republicans and Trump and his supporters and the media can muddy the waters and raise all kinds of crazy conspiracy theories, then maybe people won't pay attention to the danger he poses to our country. Yes, he poses so much danger, Hillary. Increased jobs, decreased joblessness, bringing jobs back into America. The economy's better. Just about everything's better, Hillary. But yeah, he's a danger to the country. You're not. Oh, but he's the danger. Yeah, right. The Washington Post reported on Saturday that State Department officials have informed up to 130 Clinton aides that they were found to be culpable of handling information that was classified lower than they should have been when transmitted through the private server. Basically, they shouldn't have been even handling those emails. So we're not going to read any more of that because it seems like we've touched on this already. But yeah, Hillary Clinton questioning Trump's mishandling of classified info. No, she's saying questioning my mishandling of classified info is the real witch hunt. I think you need to go lay down, Hillary. Take a couple of aspirins and just, rest. Because you're starting to see things and believe things that just aren't real. All right, now let's go back, see what else we can touch on. And okay, let's look at this. And then I can't remember what this is, but let's look at this. And then I think I am going to make it a night. Death of HHS. And I put there, remember this, because what is this to do with? Daniel oh, yeah, it says yes. A pharmaceutical executive from Bay Village who was tapped to oversee government efforts to reduce prescription drug costs died on November 1st. Don't you think that's a little odd? Washington, D.C., the November death of Daniel Best. And yes, this is an old news article. When is this from? It's from January 29th, 2019. So it's not a new article, but I'm saying, remember this, because there's something to this. Daniel Best was a pharmaceutical executive from Bay Village, and his job, you remember how Trump one of his promises was to bring down prescription drug costs, which he has. And this guy was tasked to oversee this, but he was found dead. The November 1st death of Daniel Best, a pharmaceutical executive from Bay Village who led U.S. Department of Health and Human Services efforts to lower prescription drug prices, has been ruled a suicide, officials in Washington, D.C. said Thursday. I don't know about that. I don't believe it. I don't believe it was suicide. Police say Best was found unresponsive near the garage door exit of an apartment building in Washington, D.C.'s Navy Yard neighborhood at 5:25 a.m. on November 1st and was pronounced dead by medical personnel who responded to the scene. And the city's office of the chief medical examiner on Thursday said Best died from multiple blunt force injuries, and it ruled his death a suicide. Multiple blunt force injuries. Now, who kills themselves by multiple blunt force injuries? You tell me. Do you know anybody that has killed themselves that way? What did they do? Bang himself in the head with a hammer until he died? And I mean, this is unbelievable. It would not release further information. Well, of course they wouldn't release further information because it's a lot of poppycock. In announcing his death, HHS Secretary Alex Azar said the 49-year-old former CVS Health and Pfizer Pharmaceuticals executive agreed to work at HHS out of a desire to serve the American people by making healthcare more affordable. He brought his deep expertise and passion to this task with great humility and collegiality. Azar's statement said, "All of us who served with Dan at HHS and in the administration mourn his passing and extend our thoughts and prayers to his wife Lisa and the entire Best family at this difficult time. Best is survived by his wife Lisa and 3 children." Now, I find that's a little bit hard to believe, and I'll tell you why I'm bringing this up again. First of all, do you think the pharmaceutical industry wants drug costs lowered? Big Pharma? No. Because that means there's less money in their pocket. So I do believe that he was murdered, and I think that it's quite obvious when you see he died from multiple blunt force injuries. Why would somebody kill themselves that way instead of just shooting themselves? I'm just saying. Wouldn't most men shoot themselves if they were really serious about committing suicide? Would they just keep hitting themselves with a blunt force object with blunt force? Like a hammer or, I don't know, a 2x4 or something? I mean, who does that? Anybody? No, they don't. You know why? Because it hurts. If you shoot yourself, it's like, I would assume that it's pretty instantaneous, depending. And I just don't see anybody trying to kill themselves by blunt force trauma. Just saying. Call me crazy. But now, Why am I bringing that up? Well, this is why. This is why right here. And this was published yesterday. Trump suggests without evidence. Now, of course, this is CNBC, so it's biased. I'm just telling you that right away. But I want you to see this. Trump suggests without evidence. Now, one thing we know about Donald Trump is he's not going to suggest anything without evidence. He's not stupid. So, without evidence, that pharmaceutical industry could be pushing impeachment probe. Oh. So, not only did they murder the guy that was tasked with bringing prescription costs down, but now they're leading the impeachment probe. Why would that be? Yeah. Money. It's always about money. Money and power. The two things that make the world go round. I mean, you know, well, it says, you know, a lot of people misquote this. They'll say, oh, money's the root of all evil. No, it's not. Money is just a tool. It's a tool. The same money that buys crack cocaine can buy milk for a baby. So money is not evil. It's an inanimate object. It's not capable of being evil. The Bible says the love of money is the root of all evil. The love of it. And that is what causes the evil in the world. It's the love of money. And with money comes power. And power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. So that's what we've got. And I'm finding this very, very interesting. President Donald Trump suggests pharmaceutical companies could be helping to push the impeachment inquiry into Trump's alleged abuse of power because he wants to lower drug prices. Now, he's not a stupid man. He's not going to say that without evidence. Sure, he's got evidence. And he's just starting to get this out there to people, to put it into people's minds. So they go, Of course, you know, CNBC is going to spin it because they hate Trump. The president did not offer any evidence to back up the claim. Pharmaceutical companies have been one of the rare bipartisan targets during Trump's time in office. President Donald Trump floated an unsubstantiated claim Thursday that pharmaceutical companies could be pushing for his impeachment because he has tried to reduce drug prices. During an event in Florida where he signed an executive order related to Medicare, the president highlighted his goal of cutting pharmaceutical costs. He then suggested, with no evidence, that drug companies could be helping to drive the hoax. The name Trump has given to the House Democratic impeachment inquiry into whether the president abused his power by trying to get Ukraine to investigate former Vice President Joe Biden, one of his chief political rivals. They think Joe Biden is a rival? Are you kidding me? That's like, you know, that's like a bull going up against a bumblebee. Like, seriously? Really? Who do you think's going to win? Oh my gosh. Trump said, we're lowering the cost of prescription drugs, taking on the pharmaceutical companies. You think that's easy? It's not easy. They come from you from all sides. I wouldn't be surprised if the hoax didn't come a little bit from some of these people that we're taking on. They're very powerful. They spend a lot of money. Spend, I think, more money than any group in the world, actually, in terms of lobbying and lobbying abilities. And I wouldn't be surprised if some of the nonsense that we all have to go through, but that I go through, wouldn't be surprised if it was from some of these industries like pharmaceuticals that we take on. When asked about Trump's suggestion, a spokeswoman for PHRMA, a trade group for biopharmaceuticals research company, said, it's ridiculous you are asking me about it. Of course we are not pushing for impeachment. Trump has tossed out numerous unfounded theories during his time in office, an unsubstantiated claim that Biden, during his time as vice president, tried to fire Ukraine's chief prosecutor to stop him from investigating his son Hunter, prompted Trump's push to get the nation to investigate his potential 2020 opponent. See how they just spun that? See how they just spun that? We know for a fact because Joe Biden himself said it. He was bragging about it. He was bragging about it. And we now know for a fact because the person that he got fired said so. we know that is what happened, but he's saying, oh, he's tossed out numerous unfounded theories, like the fact that Biden tried to get the Ukraine's chief prosecutor to stop him from investigating his son. He did do that. That's precisely what he did. And then he says, to get him to investigate his potential 2020 opponent. Oh my gosh. You really think that Biden is much of an opponent? It's like when people say, and I'm sorry, I am a Christian, and so these are things that readily come to my mind. There's so many people that think that Satan and God are equals. No, they're not, because God actually, Satan was a created being, and they're not equal. They're not even close to being equal. And it's the same with, not that I'm saying, not that I'm saying that Trump is God and Biden is the devil, but, I'm just saying that people think, oh, they're rivals, they're equals. No, they're not. No, they're not. Biden couldn't get, Biden couldn't get people out to a free lunch. Like, seriously, would you go and sit and listen to Biden? Really? I'm just asking, just out of interest as to what he might say. I wouldn't walk across the road to see him. In fact, if he was next door, I wouldn't go see him. So anyway, yeah. Pharmaceutical companies have drawn bipartisan ire in recent years as politicians look to rein in runaway costs for consumers. They have become a punching bag for both Trump and several of the leading Democratic candidates. So anyway, I'm not going to get into all of this and read it all, but I wanted to know that idea is being floated, and I want to remind you that the person that was put in charge of lowering the drug costs was found. Well, they say he commits suicide. Sure he did. Yeah, right. And I also want to remind you of the couple that were found murdered. Now, of course, they said it was suicide too. They were found hanging over their pool because they had a huge house in Toronto and in a very, very exclusive area of Toronto. They were billionaires, and they were they were the founders, or the head of Apotex, which was a huge generic drug company in Canada. And they were part of the whole Haiti scandal because they were selling, they were writing off the cost of drugs that they sold to, well, not sold, but they donated these drugs, but they were all expired. So they wrote that off, and gave all these expired drugs to Haiti. And yes, they are in with the Clintons, and they were found murdered. And although originally it was ruled a suicide, and I think because the family had money, they have hired their own investigators, but nobody's found out, and nobody probably ever will until, we find all the tie-ins to it. But unbelievable. Both the husband and the wife were found hanging over the pool. They had a home where the different floors surrounded the pool, which was on the bottom, and they were hanging over the pool. Now, you would have needed special equipment to do that. But anyway, they claimed that no, it was a murder-suicide. The one helped, hang the other one, and then the other one hung himself or herself. Right. Yeah, I'm sure that's what happened. Yeah. So anyway, I'm just saying this. I'm just putting it out there, and we'll have to see what comes of this. But I'm telling you, Trump does not make statements like that just to throw out statements, because he is not a stupid man, and he hasn't survived this long among a group of sharks and piranhas waiting for any opportunity for him to slip into the swamp so they can eat him alive. He hasn't survived this long by being stupid. So there you go. That is it for tonight. It's now 12:02. I need to get to bed because I've got to see my stepfather tomorrow and take my mom to see him. And I am also planning on doing a show tomorrow. So I'm not sure at what point. It may have to be in the morning or very, very early afternoon instead of the evening, but we will I will try my very, very best, and it is my full intention to get a show out tomorrow. So, might not be able to have a chance to do 2, but I will try at least 1. So, thank you guys so much. I appreciate you, and I appreciate you listening. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your encouragement and your donations and everything else you do to help this show. I appreciate it, and you guys sleep well, stay safe, and keep seeking truth. Good night.